So today we'll be looking at web page designing, and according to your syllabus, there are a couple of things that we need to pay attention to when we're working with web pages. And the syllabus gives us about 5 things that we want to talk about when we're dealing with the design of the web page itself. Firstly, we talk about the reason for the website or the reason for the web page. And that's the truth. If you don't have a reason for creating a web page, making one is no sense, because it will waste time and waste money. So you want to have a good reason for creating a web page or a website. The second thing is you have to have an intended audience. And we're going to look at both of these things in a little bit later. But you have to have an intended audience. Who will be viewing my web page? Who will be viewing my website? And we have to tailor our website based on the audience. The next thing we need to look at is the number of web pages, the content of each web page, and the basic layout of the web pages themselves. All right? So 5 things. But I like to think of them not just as 5 separate things, but 5 things almost interlocking or joining together. So the reason, the content, the audience, the number of pages, and the layout have to come together to form one cohesive vision for your web page. And so sometimes you might be working on a web page and you have in the back of your mind what you want the web page to do. But then you have to think about content as well. And as I think about the content, how am I going to represent the content? How am I going to make sure that people want to see what is on my web page? And so as we think about those 5 things, it's about getting pieces and putting the puzzle together so that you get one nice looking web page. So we have to think about the reason for the web page. We have to think about the content. We have to think about the number of pages. We have to think about the audience, and we have to think about the basic layout. All right? So why do we need to think about these things? Let's think about the reason first and foremost. What could be a possible reason? The fact of the matter is we have several reasons. It could be just you wanting to get in touch with your family, or get a family website where all of your family members can come in and share their experiences and say, oh, I didn't know that you were related, etc., etc. It could be for that kind of a social interaction. It could be for selling some kind of product or some kind of service. It could be something for information, all right? And so as you look at these different reasons, each reason or every reason will somehow inform what you intend to do for the rest. And of course, whenever you think about reasons, you have to think about the fact that you're going to look at the type of domains you're going to save your website or your web page on. And there are different types of domains, and we're going to look at some of them a little bit later. But you have to first and foremost get the reason into your mind. All right? When we get that reason into our minds, one of the things that we can be thinking about, of course, is actually selling. All right? And if we're selling a service or we're selling a product, then the fact is we are going to need a .com kind of a domain. And .com simply stands for commerce. And many websites that you visit, irrespective of what they are, the purpose of those websites is for selling some kind of service. Maybe it's not even selling a service, but maybe it's about transactions or monetary transactions, like banks, etc. And even though we think this is just monetary transactions, banks do make money. But you have to name them as a .com because we're providing a service. What kind of service could we be providing? Possibly you're on a catering service. Possibly you're a musician, or possibly you own a studio and you want to invite people to be a part of what you're doing, or invite singers and artists to come in. Maybe you do landscaping, and you want persons to actually see what you can do, and of course invite business or invite people's business to your business. That's definitely a .com. All right? Let's say, for instance, you might be selling a product, maybe laptops, maybe laptop cases. All those things have some kind of money involvement, some kind of monetary exchange, and so therefore we call them .coms. We also have to pay attention to the fact that websites will somehow allow you to add advertisements to them as well. And if that be the case, then what will happen is that that has to be named as a .com as well. As long as people are going to advertise on your site, you should be thinking about a .com. All right. Next, of course, we have non-profit organizations. And non-profit organizations are organizations who, even if they have some form of monetary exchange going on, it is not for profit. They are not doing a business. So some of them might be able to take donations, but they can't do anything for a business. And that might include churches, clubs and societies like Key Club. And you'll find any website created by these people has to be a .org. If you go onto the web right now and look up Key Club, their website will be found under keyclub.org. All right? They are strictly non-profit. And there might be, there is a slight difference between non-profit and not-for-profit, but normally you'd register both those kind of organizations under .org. All right? So just giving you insight as to reasons. One final one is educational institutions. The fact that you're watching Schools Not Out now, that doesn't mean that TVJ is an educational institution, but your school is an educational institution. And so you might have a website and it is edu, all right, or .edu. Check out our websites, University of Technology, University of the West Indies, NCU, ICU, whatever they are. If they have a website and the focus is for education, then they are going to be registered under .edu. And you will always see possibly edu.jm, which means Educational Institution in Jamaica. All right? So your reason for creating the websites always informs what type of domain you will be using. Other types of domains we can talk about is .gov, the country domains, you will say .bb, .jm, .tt, .us. Those represent the countries that register with these particular organizations who sell the hosting. If you try to visit the ministry's website, you should see, I think it's moe.gov.jm. That's one of those as well. Then you have .co, .tv, .net, .info, and you have a host of naming conventions that are out there. But if you're going to create your own website, you have to decide in your mind what's the reason. And if there's a reason that matches any of these things, then these domains are the ones you're paying attention to. One case in particular, we'll be looking at something from TVJ's website. And sorry, TVJ, me teeth your things, but, on the teeth, but you know it go. All right, next, audience. You have to decide on the audience you're trying to capture. What this informs is the information, presentation, and data format. Meaning, if you're going to create a website for children, you can't fill it with text. If you're going to create a website for academics, they might more be interested in information that is referenced and information that has actual referencing information at the bottom of the web page, because they are interested in whether or not your information is factual and it can be backed up. So you might be changing your formats based on your audience. Maybe it's even about education as well, and something like this that TVJ is doing is being posted on One Spot Media. And so therefore they have captured this image or what's going on and have made the video available for you. All right. For some of you, you might decide that, okay, I have a One Spot Media account, so you might not watch it on TV. You might just log on later on or log on at the end of the week, and hey, right there you have your video for you. So your audience is going to dictate how you present your information. And this is where we get into, and even though I might be sidetracking a little bit, there's a serious reason, or a very, some might say it's strange, but there's a reason why there are a lot of boys or men who have this affinity for video games, because of the increased animation, the way how the pictures look, the action related to it. And so if you're creating a web page, you need to think about, okay, who will be looking at this thing, and who do we want to look at this thing? All right. And if we can decide on those things, then we are more or less down the right road to getting a good website up. Website will be the ministry's website, and this is a little bit different in that when you look at it, you will see that it's a lot less catchy, but you're able to see all the elements clearly, because for something like a ministry website, you want the information to be the focus. So you want people to get the information that they need when they need it, as fast as they need it. And I bet some of you have not visited the website because what? There is a place for study skills for students. So hear me, if you don't know how to study, the Ministry of Education has a nice little layout there for you. And as I say that, here's my study tip for today. Learn how you study. Learn how you learn. That's my study tip. Learn how you learn. Some of you might not learn by a lot of reading. Some of you might learn by a lot of video, whatever. Learn how you learn and use that to continue your education process. All right. Now that I've chatted so much, let me just show you what my process is like. When I'm designing a website, I just brainstorm to start. All right. Now, one of my students in 6A, in 6A, upper 6th, of course, I'm big up all my 6th form students, especially Sydney Graham. Well, all right, let me not do that. Big up all my students. But when I'm doing my websites, I'm brainstorming. I'm brainstorming everything. All right. I want everything to come to the fore. So I'll just write down what I think is needed. This particular one just came up because one of my students decided that they wanted to do something on being a professional photographer. And what I've decided to do, okay, as a professional photographer, it can be one of two things. I can either create a website to promote my shots, which can be a social media thing. And if I have Instagram and all those things, I might not need to create a website. But then, if I feel that I need to have my own website where I don't need advertisements on it, then you might want to create your own. And also, I could be creating the website to seek out business opportunities, which is commerce as well. All right? And you might decide that, okay, I want both. So in my thinking, I'm thinking, okay, my webpage contents will have to change then. I have a quick interview with myself, possibly we can add that to the website. We could add a biography in pictures, low resolution pictures of the gigs that I've taken shots of, payment and booking. Well, if I'm going to make money, I must want somebody to come on my website and pay or book me and pay for the booking. Some way to contact me and possibly an index or a landing page. And this index or landing page is the very first page that you see whenever you open a person's website, right? It's called index page because it's normally called index.html. And that's the first page that your a browser will look for whenever it's tries to sign on to your site. It's called a landing page also because it's supposed to bring some form of grandeur to your site. It's supposed to grab you right away. And there was one particular site that, you know, was created in Flash years ago. When Batman Begins just started, I went on their site and it was created by Flash. And every element of that website was like machines unfolding. And so you saw the bat wings unfolding and then the menus unfolding like you're actually inside the bat cave. So all those things come into your landing page. So when I've done my brainstorming now, I use a hierarchy chart. And in this hierarchy chart, I try to set out how I want my pages to connect to each other. And so my index page comes first. But on my index page, I will have a menu that leads me to possibly my photo gallery, who I am, that would be the biography page, the place where I do the booking, and then I might even have a contact for me straight up, and then I might have under the biography page, I might have a video, and then under that biography page I also have bio text. Going on, I might show you only 2 gigs or 2 events that I went to and took pictures. So in this case, I have 2 of them, all right? So I'm just creating a chart to give me an idea or a map as to how my site should flow and where I'll go on my sites, all right? There's one website that was very striking, and this is GoDaddy. And what GoDaddy is, they are a hosting site. They sell space, or they can even give you space to become a hosting site. And this website is striking to me. It doesn't have a lot of color, but where it has color, it draws your attention even more. It doesn't have a lot of distracting colors. You're getting your information right away, but then as soon as the colors pop up, it's just complementing the information that's there. And that is what you want to pay attention to when you're creating a website. All right? All right. Now, one other thing that we should pay attention to is that if you're creating a website, there will always be a cost to it. All right? And some of you who might not be sure of it, you can always search for the hosting cost, how much it costs for a month, etc. But this is one of the implications of you creating an IT tool or using an IT tool of this nature. You will always have a cost, and you will need, of course, to identify what you can pay for. Some of them are relatively cheap, $500, $600, 600 Jamaican dollars per month or thereabout. And you know, if you're in a situation where you are making money or you can make money, this is pretty cheap for you. So you want to think about the cost as well. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask you quickly to think about this particular scenario. This scenario includes Study for Life. So that's a web page that we might want to do called Study for Life. All right, and we want to be able to teach students how to study. We want to and the reason might be promoting good studying habits and some questions that we might need to answer. All right, and so we want to pay attention now to why we want to do these things. So guess what? Another reason could be that we want high school students to get better, and so possibly our high school students would be our audience. And so as you're listening, I want you to try now to think about all the things that I talked about. What kind of content would be on it? Who am I really targeting? We already said high school students, but of course there can be different strata. You could be a sixth former, you could be a fifth former, you could be a first former. All right. You want to think about how many pages you'd want to use. You want to think about how you want to represent your information. All right. So as you think about it, we'll move on to just a couple more things. All right. Now I took the opportunity to just draw up our web, well, let me not say draw up, do a small design, and in this design it's basically a Word document or Word documents. And for CXC specifically, you don't necessarily need to do a lot of HTML at the CSEC level. You don't need HTML full stop at the CSEC level. All right. So what I'd recommend is that you use Microsoft Word, you use possibly Publisher as well. And what will happen is that you can just design your page how you want to, and you can look at the elements thereof of other web pages and try to apply it to your own design. And then when you're finished the design, you'll save the web page you save the document as a web page. All right. So let me just show you one thing that I quickly pulled together, and it's pretty simple, and it was a starting. And this is how you'd normally start your page. My page here, it says what is studying. That's the first page, and this what is studying is more about it's actually about nothing really. It's it just has a couple pictures, and those couple pictures are situated at different points in the document. And don't be alarmed by the text. I got the text from, it's a website called Lorem Ipsum that allows you to take a whole heap of idiot arbitrary texts and just throw them in. All right. So what I did was, this is me laying out my simple website. So I just put what is studying, and then I have a simple menu going on here. All right. And then I decided, okay, I want a picture here, and then I want some text, want some more text, and then another picture. All right. Now, I didn't think about going to a video, but if I'm going to target high school students, it would make sense for me to actually have a video there. So me having a picture here could be that place could be a place for a video, or even at the start to get it eye-catching. So this first picture could actually be a video. But If we can't insert it in Word, we can actually find the HTML code and code that in. But again, at CSEC level, you don't need to know it. For those of you who are doing CAPE IT, you do need to know HTML. And if you go to w3schools.org, I think it is, you can go ahead and look at how you can embed a video into your document or into your HTML document, and that comes with the HTML5 development. Years gone by, you didn't really have HTML5 having a video tag. You had to do some kind of embedding and then possibly pull a video from YouTube. With this particular HTML, you can have the video somewhere on the server or somewhere on a computer, and the HTML will just take the video and read it in. And that's a good thing, by the way, because that means you won't need have any copyright issues or anything of that nature. So this is my simple way of putting things together. Now, some of the things that we need to pay attention to for CSEC is that we should be able to make a hyperlink between pages, and you can do that right here. If you notice, as I mouse over the words "contact me," there's a pop-up that says, "Hey, this looks like a link to file C, user desktop, whatever, school not out, contact me.docx." So I've linked it to another Word document. That also is a kind of hyperlink, all right? And if I should hold Control and when I hold Control and click, if it finds it, well, it was on my machine, so I hope you find it here. So, but if it finds it, it's going to open the contact me page, all right? If I wanted to, I could, let me just edit the link so I can find it right here. Let me double click on the link. So it didn't find it because it was initially on my machine. So I'm going to highlight the word, right click, and click either edit or remove hyperlink. I'm going to edit. And for my edit, it brings up a dialog box. And this dialog box now says, what do you want to do? And it finds the current folder. And it finds that current folder, I'm going to double click or just click contact me, right? And that comes down as the address. And I'm going to click OK. Now the link is now active because it's now blue. And whenever you're working with hyperlinks, you will always see it blue if it is active. And I'm going to click contact me. And by right, the contact me page should come up. If it doesn't come up, oh yes, man, see it here. It should come up as another window and another document. So I'm going to show you. It just popped up right here. All right, and this is my piece of contact me page. Again, as I said, this is me designing and scratching through to get a feel of what I want. All right. And so the contact page has now come up, and that is how you simply create a hyperlink. If I wanted now to create a hyperlink on this to go back to my original page, then I would have to highlight what is studying. And I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to right click on what is studying. Let me highlight it properly. And click edit, hyperlink, and then click on what is studying. Let me do it again, one more time. So right click, edit hyperlink, or if you didn't have a hyperlink on it before, you can always click. You can click remove, or you can just click add hyperlink and click OK. All right, now that's how we add hyperlinks in Word documents. So we can make hyperlinks between pages, and that is the most common kind of hyperlink. But I can guarantee you that some of you might not have been aware that the whole hashtag phenomena, I should say, came about not just because of Twitter or Facebook, etc. When I was programming or creating web pages at UTech, we had to be able to link pages or link places in pages. And what we did was to give each place that we wanted to link a special name. And that special name, whenever we gave it to that particular place in the web page, would then be connected to a hyperlink that would put a hashtag beside the name of that thing. So whenever you type in possibly hashtag TVJ schools not out, whenever you do that in your Twitter environments, etc., what happens is that wherever that particular name turned up, or whoever posted something with hashtag, your browser will look for that hashtag in every web page it can find all over the world. And that is how hashtag really came to be a phenomenon, because inside of the web page, we'd normally name it as hashtag and you could go directly to that particular comment or that particular place. Now, here in Word, you can do the same thing. What I've done, the simplest way to do it, and I'm going to try to show it. Right here, I have a word. Well, it's not even a word, because again, I got the word from lorem ipsum, so it's not even a word, it's just some letters jumbled together to seem as if it's a word. And that word is more or less a hyperlink to somewhere in my document. Now, it is in blue, which means it's essentially a hyperlink. And if I mouse over it again in Microsoft Word, I'll still get that same balloon message, or that same message that says this seems to be pointing to somewhere in the document, and you can Control-click to follow the link. And if I Control-click, where's my mouse? If I Control-click, it goes down to the bottom of the document where I have how does memory work. And so you can do that in your web pages as well. How do we do it? Same way we did the initial hyperlink. We highlight the word, or let me highlight another word so you can be a little bit more comprehensive. So I'll highlight the word that I want to make the link. And when I do highlight the word, I right click on the word, and that word will show me a menu. And in that menu, I should see hyperlink or make hyperlink. All right. Let me double check. Okay. So it's telling me some spelling error. So give me a minute. Look up. All right. Okay. Let me use another word that it won't ask me for something spelling. All right, so let me use one of the menu words, because lorem ipsum spelling is throwing me off because of everything else. All right, so I use the word right, and immediately I'm seeing the word hyperlink in my menu. And as I clicked it, it opens the dialog box that says insert hyperlink. And there are some options to the far left, link to, existing file, or a place in this document. So I'm going to click on place in this document. And when I click on place in this document, it now shows me some headings that I've created. And these headings are created from the styles option in your home menu. So I'll highlight the heading, or highlight what I want to make the heading, and make it heading 1, heading 2, whatever the case is. And when I do that now, that more or less tags that heading as a place that I can go to using a hyperlink. So here now I'm being shown 3 different headings, or 3 different even links you could say. And I want to go to how does the memory work. So here I'm seeing these headings that I've chosen, and I'm just going to select the one I want here and click OK. All right. And so now if I Control-click on the word right, it goes straight to how does memory work. And that's a very simple way to create hyperlinks inside of your Word document. Now remember, this is a requirement for your SBA as well. So you should be able to make this kind of a link whenever you are working on your SBA. You can also create hyperlinks just for sending emails. And because Word has that kind of mechanism inside of itself to create a connection with the Outlook message environment so that you can send your messages whenever. So as I said before, you had to create the headings with with the styles menu. So all you had to do was to highlight whatever word you wanted to make a heading and choose the type of heading that you want. And that immediately will tag your heading or tag whatever you highlighted as a place for your hyperlink to go. All right, it's as easy as that. All right. Now, the final thing that I'm going to be showing you is what happens when you save or create a web page with your documents. So what I'm going to do here is just save this file, save as, so file save as, and then when I click file save as, I'm going to have the file name there, but where you see save as type, which is just below the file name, you're going to see a number of options. The first one is Word document, but what you want is a web page. And when you select web page, it will, I want to replace the existing, it will create or show you a web view of what your document might look like on the web page. Now, it might not be what you wanted, but again, you can always tweak it and make sure that you get it right. And why I saved it that way is because you can now view this in your browser. All right, and if you view it in your browser, what it means is that, hey, you can see the HTML code for this. And when you see that HTML code, you can, of course, it might be very tedious, but you can go and search through and sift through and see if you really understand what's going on. All right, that's all for today for CSEC Information Technology. Until next time, I'm Leo Lewis. Pleasant viewing, stay safe, wash your hand, eat right, big up all my friends and family.